Lynx working their way up. Here we go, baby. Legacy Genesis. Now that you have Babbitt back, will your tides change? And will we start picking up wins again?
And I guess, again, it all comes down to him really being that catalyst for the rest of the team. We know he likes to play as enabling junglers. We know he likes to get it out there, make sure the rest of his team is ahead. And one of the things I really like about his gameplay, he's not fearful. He's fearless. He's more than happy to go in there, take a kill, or take a death, because he's trying to get those wards, trying to push that advantage that he has, but he's always doing it in a calculated way, where if he's behind, yeah, I'll take that step back, but he's always pushing that little bit further when he knows he's ahead.
I wonder if Lynx will be feeling comfortable this week, because PVA and Scream are subbing into that bottom lane. That means there's no Kedu, there's no Sheng Xuan into Drakon and Tilting, who have had a bit of a consistent couple of weeks with Legacy Genesis. You still have Hayri in the mid lane, and Babbitt is that rock of Legacy Genesis. The Zac has been banned away. We can see Legacy Genesis. They've got rid of the Kha'Zix, the Syndra, the Orianna. Now, do you get rid of the Nidalee, or is it first pick worthy for Legacy Genesis?
I would say you would get rid of the Nidalee here, because you know that one out of the blue, Babbitt can play it. Negative in the end there. So you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Nidalee get picked up here because it denies it. Never mind. They're putting so much emphasis on Elise. We saw how strong he was before, but I would expect for them to probably say, you know what? Let's pick up a Nidalee ourselves, because we're missing the Rek'Sai, we're missing the Kha'Zix. We've been putting so much effort on this Nidalee.
I'm so grumpy.
I think they need to make sure they do pick it up in this next rotation coming on.
I'm so grumpy, Mendrix. After all that talk of Nidalee, it is not going to be picked, but instead the Elise priority still remains.
Third. Amity's going to pick it up.
Amity?
Yeah, because you don't need to pick it up right now.
Mendrix. What does that name say?
Amity? Oh, Amatil.
Amidal. Man.
Amidal?
Amity. There's an L in there. What is wrong with you with names?
I like Amity.
No, I don't care what you like. We're not doing this again. We don't... Real Opal went through this. Bose went through this. Let's stop bullying the players, all right? The players matter to us.
Stop bullying the players. Legacy Genesis, though, definitely going for a very strong team with lane priority in the jungle, in the top lane as well. But they decided to get themselves a little bit more of a scaling when it comes towards that mid lane.
And this is interesting priority on the Cassiopeia.
All right, I expect a Nidalee pick here. Otherwise, Legacy Genesis is banning it.
Okay, let's not talk about Cassiopeia. Let's talk about Nidalee. Lynx have that opportunity.
Cass is very standard.
Cassiopeia, what, in the first round of rotation? A mid laner getting picked in the first round of rotations. Isn't that standard?
Depends what your priorities wants to be.
Well, maybe Nidalee, like Lynx they've
looked. Okay, let's look at this, right? Why would you pick a mid lane? Well, what happens if some mid laner has been taken off the board? All of a sudden, you've got the Orianna gone. You've got the Syndra gone. All of a sudden, you're at risk of being banned out if the enemy team doesn't pick up their mid laner. So you know what? Legacy Genesis now can ban away pretty much any other mid laner that can deal with Cassiopeia. It's an intelligent pick. It's an intelligent draft. Watch them actually start banning away some mid lanes.
So the mid lane is to deal with the Cassiopeia and go against Hayri. Is something like a Victor safe and personal that could just pull back? Is there any other mid laner that you would get rid of?
Well, there's Talia. That's another one there. So the pressure off the board. Hard to say what they're going to go for next. I mean, Victor's more one of those safe picks that everyone drops back to afterwards. So maybe they might decide to go for something a little bit less. I'm trying to think what has really good kill potential right now onto maybe an assassin. Get rid of the Talon, get rid of the Zed, make sure that she's going to be safe in lane. Maybe a Corki. Corki would be a good ban in this situation.
Tristana Caitlyn away by Lynx Esports. Legacy Genesis have one more option, and like you said, maybe want to keep prioritizing those mids, because Fiora has slipped through on the Lynx draft. And I mean, that's something that could be detrimental. You know that Sora, a.k.a. Panda, is a great carry top laner, and for him to get something like this going against Renekton, I have seen many a Renekton fall down in the face of Fiora.
Man, Fiora is just a tough matchup in general. The big thing is you need to make sure you put her down early before she gets that 2-item balance.
Harsh words.
You need
her down.
You need to drop her to the ground. She needs to be straight away, just throw everything you can at her. Otherwise, that scaling is going to be absolutely ridiculous. Renekton is very good at doing that. So as you can see, Renekton does have that early pick coming into it. He does have that advantage towards the early game. But as soon as he gets to that level 9 point, all of a sudden she just comes online, and Renekton can't really do much against it. He needs to make sure he doesn't get hit by that. He needs to make sure he doesn't get hit by the riposte.
Very excited to be here. We are finally seeing the Kalista buffs into... thank you so much. Drakon and... I was going to say... I'm used to saying plug. Tilting down in the bottom lane. Going to pick up the Brom Kalista combination, and that is a wombo if I've ever seen it.
And I do like it what they decided to go for here, because if you all of a sudden here, I just see Babip making his way down there all the time. Get that Kalista up and running early, make sure he's unlocked and online, and then from there, she can start moving around the map. You get the neutral objective control that unlocks the rest of the team to continue doing what they want to do, and Harry can sit back farming safely away. Because, to be honest, that Echo is going to be just pushing into him every single time.
All right, who's more disgusting late game, Echo or Cassiopeia?
Cassiopeia is more disgusting late game.
Okay, who's more disgusting late game, Ashe or Kalista? Isn't not Kalista?
The arrow is so strong in every point in the game.
But
like, Ashe is just, you have to be so scared of that arrow all the time.
But Kalista,
yeah, Kalista's great in terms of neutral objective control,
good.
but she's very choreographed. You don't really fear something that you know what's going to happen. Like, all of a sudden you see her come to lane, yeah, there's probably going to be a Braum flying at my face. In the next, say, in the next 12 seconds, if they really want to go for an engage. If not, she's going to sit there, hop around in the lane until the minions are cleared out. And then she disappears from the map, straight away get wards on those neutral objectives, because immediately she is going to be there, putting in those stacks, making sure she can use that Ren to secure the objective.
I feel like, though, Hayri, this is my concern right now, Mendrix.
Yeah.
Hayri has not been performing that well. Yes, week number 1, picked Lucian mid, popped off, did really, really well. But the last couple of weeks, I believe last week was the Syndra, and fell so far behind all the week before. Hayri has not had the greatest of games starting in this split, and everyone out there still rates him as one of the best mid laners, but I am yet to see that. And to be quite honest with everyone, I feel like Hayri has picked a champion that might be a little bit more hard to execute. Yes, Cassiopeia is not that hard, but if Hayri's not having the greatest split and the greatest of performances, then to pick a champion like this where it will potentially be up to him in the late game to carry Legacy Genesis through, well then he has really got to do some serious looking at the mirror and say, now is my time.
And the thing is, everyone likes to go through and criticize what happens live. But really, you have to look at what happens, outside of the Rift as well, in terms of the scrims that they do, in terms of the practice that everyone does.
Boyfriend, girlfriend,
Well, that's...
dinner went bad, I burnt the pot.
All that sort of stuff. There was probably, other people wondering why Harry's performing so bad. It's because he left the oven on and he's worried about that.
Went to the mountains, didn't have internet.
Exactly. But what I want to say with that there is he would have great performances in the scrims.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that, the moment it does go towards that competitive sense, it might give him that little bit of jitters, and that's something that's holding him back. But if you can work through that, and you can really unlock his full potential and get him to be playing at what is considered to be his best, that's when all of a sudden it is a great moment, and Harry's unlocked. He feels good, he feels great, and he's a great asset.
And that's what needs to happen. We need to see him unlocked here in this tournament, and it is week number 4. There are no excuses now. You're halfway through the tournament, past the halfway mark. Remember, it is a 7-week series of round robins where you verse each team once. Losing to one team, and this is the same storyline we have with Athletico Esports, is that you lose one game and suddenly you fall down. You do not come up into that top 4 as a potential. If other teams are winning 2-1, they've Outlaws and Abyss Academy are 3-0. A team like Legacy Genesis may have lost Babip for a couple of weeks because of Rift rivals, but this has put them down, and this may have actually taken them out of the runnings. So they've got to be careful. They've got to find wins now on the board, because the more losses they have, the harder it will be for them later.
And I want to also touch on that point. They got Babip back.
Yeah.
One of the really most important parts of a mid lane is your synergy with your jungler. It's probably one of the most talked about matchups. If you look at any sort of competition happening out right now in League of Legends, everything sort of goes back to, okay, what's happening with that mid laner? What's happening with their jungler?
True.
Are they using it appropriately? And if Harry doesn't have his normal typical jungler behind him, all of a sudden you do see that sort of dip in terms of performance, because
I guess you could
it's
say,
just not going to be enough for him to go through. So really looking for Babip now to actually show us what Harry's capable of by unlocking him really in that early game.
Well, because he's got, like you said, there's a great point, Mendrix. You've got Hayri and Babip back at it again with the white vans in the mid lane. If you see how Hayri performed with Babip, then you're good. You're sitting at home and you're saying, yeah, all right, Babip's back. We Gucci. You're a Legacy Genesis fanboy or grill, and you know that this roster, it really comes online when Babip's there. So let's just lock that over to the side and say, yes, Legacy Genesis should be okay here. Lynx now seem like the underdogs. They don't have Kedu. They don't have Sheng Xuan in the bottom lane. Lynx have got to really pull a win out of the bag here, because there is nothing that says to me that Lynx will be the heavy favourites coming into this.
And really, when you look at the team composition as well, they don't have a tank. That's going to be something that does hit them very hard, because if they do find themselves in an advantage, all of a sudden they can't really push the ladder to make sure they can make it work. They did a great job tankless in their last games, in their game last week. But this time around, if there is sort of, I guess, an even matching without them sort of like really taking advantage or capitalizing like they did before, they could find themselves in a really tough situation not having that tank. It's really going to be down to them playing that 1-4 perfectly, having Fiora split around the way he should be. Actually, I think they actually got a 1-3-1 because they got an Echo as well. Yeah. So they've got a very good 1-3-1 team.
But run the 1-3-1, but Legacy Genesis can still force with their composition, right?
Absolutely.
Like, easy force.
Well, that's what you need to do when you are playing a 1-4. You are playing more team fight. You need to stop them before that 1-3-1 is set up. That is one of the big win conditions of it. You have to force those team fights immediately. 1-3-1 on the other hand need to make sure that they are constantly putting pressure up around the map. That way it stops those team compositions that do want a team fight from getting going. They have to be constantly spread thin as they deal with all the pressure around them. So one team is looking to get in there, find that fight. Lynx on the other hand, they want to make sure they've got map pressure at all times.
It is still about the jungles, however, as we move into game number 2. Whether Babip's return will make Legacy Genesis a big team to watch again, or if their time in the sun is over and Lynx's time has just begun. Game number 2 of OCS Week 4.
And I would like a lot of emphasis being put on tracking Sully as well. We know Nidalee has fantastic clears, able to move around the jungle whenever he needs to. He's very good at invading as well, can just hop over the walls at any moment or at any moment's notice as well. As you can see, getting a little bit of support right now as that ward goes down to make sure that he does get an easy jungle clear.
Well, and Elise, who's probably going to start Raptors, I assume. I mean, Raptors is potentially the easiest start for Elise with that volatile Spiderling, which has obviously been started by Babip.
That is right there as well. I'll be interested to see if Harry does decide to start the Noxious Blast.
Oh, he can curl your tail. Hang on. Watch Harry again. Do it. See, they changed the tail animation a couple of patches ago, and now everyone's just obsessed with it.
First, it was bugged, though, because they said it would do the little curl before, and everyone was loving it.
Oh, you click on Cassiopeia, and like the highlight ended before the tail.
That's right.
I was like, so is that not part of the tail?
But then they fixed it in the end. So I think they fixed that bug towards the end there, so it's not going to be too bad.
This is strange. So normally the red buff has a hard leash by bottom lane, and then Babip will rotate around, but instead of starting the Raptors, goes straight to red, finish it. Oh, man. Okay.
Close. Still okay in the end.
Still a grave cigar, though. It's okay.
Still a grave cigar there. I'm actually interested. I mean, did she actually manage to get, like, did get level 2 off that. I was a bit confused for a second.
If Legacy Genesis hold at an even level against Lynx,
okay,
it seems okay for them, right? Like, you have a Cassiopeia. This is the one biggest thing I'm worried about, is that if Kalista, Cassiopeia get into the mid game, then will Lynx even get to that late game stage?
It is hard to say. They do have a very snowballer team if you look at what they do have. The fact that they've got the Echo, the fact that they've got the Nidalee, really wants to make sure they got strong map rotation, because typically what Echo will do is just throw out that Timewinder, roam down towards the bot lane, and it works so well when you do have an Ashe as well. So I'd say there's going to be a lot of, I could say, contention in that bot lane as soon as those level 6 ultimates start to come out as well. Typical Cassiopeia, liking to go for those all-ins when she does manage to land some poison and just throw out those Twin Fangs every single time.
Well, it's a start that we don't normally see with Cassiopeia as well, because Cassiopeia normally starting with the Corrupting Potion, so you can get that level 1 trade, so you can get early Twin Fang trade-off abilities.
As you can see, they're just going to be continuing to push it out as well. Interested to see why Harry is going to be so far forward as well. Typically, you can see Babip's actually beginning to path down there, making him a little bit susceptible. But I guess you could say, if you do know Sully's playstyle, does like to go for heavy farm. Now that he's got that full clear, it's time to gank.
Well, RNGesus is smiling on Sora right now as Sully misses the spear. We'll still get a couple of auto attacks off. Man, is that some heavy AD to start off with, or what?
Typically, what you do is you get attack damage reds, and then you've got ability power quints. And that basically gives you a nice, good mix of the two damages there, so you're able to continue to have that quick clear. It gives you a lot of pop in that early game as well. Babip, I'm not sure what you're thinking you're doing there. Typically, when you go into a Nidalee's jungle, you find it empty.
It's alright. We can pretend.
You can pretend.
We found the blast cone.
Pretend that something's there.
Mission complete. Go back to base and report in.
Did you take the blast cone out?
No, he did not, but Babip has come mid. Flash away by Amatul. We'll keep him
Amatul
safe.
did need to flash there as well. That was going to land. So nice reaction from him. And as you can see, Babip not having the greatest amount of pressure around, but making it count when he does go for that gank.
Bottom lane still looking okay, however, when you look at Legacy Genesis in the past, Drakon and Tilting have been members who have been consistent throughout the weeks. And it's someone like Tilting who, with his OPL experiments, you can rely on to be very versatile in the support role. Yes, we are going to follow the Spooky Ghost. Thank you, Observer. I like that. I appreciate that. Does the control ward cancel the vision from Spooky Ghost?
No.
The answer is no. I wanted to say it, Mendrix. Come on.
Well, you asked the question.
Yeah, it was for the audience out there.
Hypothetically speaking, for the audience, that can't answer back.
Not hypothetically. Yes, they can. They can spam Twitch chat PopCap.
We can't see Twitch
Damn
chat
it.
at the moment.
I said PopCap. Come on, internet. Give me a break just one day.
No breaks for you, buddy. But as we
Don't
can see
need
here
it
now,
anyway.
as we can see here,
Biddle.
the reason why the Ghost is not considered a ward, that's why the control ward doesn't stop it. That is considered to be a unit.
All right.
That is there's a bit of cold logic for you right there. But mind you, you would think that Lynx has a really strong bot lane here, having the ranged champion, having an Ashe to really push it out, use that lane priority here, and Legacy Genesis' bot lane is doing a fantastic job at this point in time, actually remaining even. Here comes Babip once again.
Ghost has already been popped. Amatul has to face dive over the wall. Flashes in front. Hayri, very ambitious, but will drop on down. The chrono break. Amatul running for his life. It's an intense 2v1 with Amatul almost surviving, but Hayri picks up the first blood.
And that was really well done there as well. You can see Amatul did a great job actually forcing out a lot of summoners from both of these guys here to make that work. But everything seemed to be choreographed. They seemed to know this is where he's going to be moved to now. We know his ultimate's still on the other side there. He saw Harry instantly move back around. And all of a sudden, when you do have Babip back there helping Harry, he's starting to perform.
After that first blood and you reset the game plan for Legacy Genesis, you say that Cassiopeia with the first blood and the tier, as well as that CS advantage, is going to be looking very pretty in the middle part of this game.
And now here comes a big risk as well when you do go for the back, when you don't have that teleport available to you, because Echo can immediately go for a very strong response. You just force that wave out as fast as you can, and you go to another lane while Harry's still, getting back after spending, going to that shop there. It's starting to be a little bit more greedy in that regard. And as you can see, he's pushed it out. Now he's either going to get some ward control, go back to lane, or he's going to make something happen.
Fight between these two junglers ends in Babip making the first impression on the map. RNG's is again not smiling with these vitals.
It's okay in the end. It's okay. I think he wanted to use the phase dive on the other way over.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it didn't really work out. Sully has ward coverage. Is it blind hop? Oh, that's ballsy.
Definitely ballsy indeed. But he's going to make a move around there. Doesn't have control of anything at the moment. I wanted to see what he decides to go for. It's warded up at this point in time, so Legacy Genesis have the ability to make a move, but he's going to get on out of there before anything happens.
Each week of the OCS changes. Last week it was all about being proactive and making smart plays. This week it's very defensive. And it is more about ward control. It's like each team has been scrimming a little bit differently. Sora starting to win this lane as expected at level 6 mark. Doesn't even hit the vitals, but has the grand challenge. Arda Ferns is going to be Arda dead. Oh, if he sticks around.
And you can say it comes down to the fact that Sully did put a little bit of pressure up there early, did force out Artiferns beforehand before he could really put down some stamp control against Sora.
Stamp control?
Yeah, stamp control.
I don't think that's a word, but continue.
I'm going to make it a word.
No, you're not.
No,
you are not a dictionary, Mendrix. Amatul, speaking of dictionaries, is going to have to look one up to figure out how he's going to get out of this situation with some class. Hayri pushing him out. Chrono break still available. Yes, I know that made no sense.
Stamp control.
No, not your stamp control, Mendrix. Let it go.
I'm not letting it go.
I have to deal with my own bad jokes, alright? I don't want to have to deal with yours as well.
Alright, so in that top lane now, Sora has managed to pick up the TM out here, so I feel like Artiferns has really lost his opportunity to make sure that he can really lay down the law and keep Sora down. Now Sora's going to be at the point where he's going to be very comfortable, and Babip really does need to put some effort up there to make sure that he doesn't just snowball out of control.
So is Wild West Cassiopeia going to continually win this lane now? Like, is Amador just falling back for pretty much the rest of the game?
I wouldn't say it's something where he can win right off the bat. Harry does have a lot of damage in terms of just base forms, but the thing is he hasn't built anything just yet, and that is going to hurt him if they do decide to go for a big engage, because all he really has is that Doran's ring and then a lot of mana.
So do you force an early 1-3-1? Do you force, you know, with a Fiora that is starting to win against a Renekton, do you then position Amatul in really early?
Not while the tiles are still up. Basically, you have to wait until a tower falls, then you can decide whether you want to go for the 1-3-1 yet. At that point in time, while the first blood turret is up, and it's such a big objective that you need to worry about, it's about maintaining control in all the lanes where you effectively need it to be.
It feels like that turret could potentially be a slow one here, especially against the Cassiopeia, who is finding early wave clear. Bit of a walk in the park.
Has to be very aggressive moving up there as well. Basically wants to stop all the roams from Amatul as well. Oh,
he
very
just took
good
a Winter's Bite. There's going to be the Miasma placed down, but Amatul goes the other way. And the phase dive will position him in a place where he will get out. But Babip, Cocoon will miss. Sully, Spear, Javelin Toss of the heroes. He will continue to invade. So Lynx in this early portion, even after losing First Blood, look like they're okay to manage this disadvantage. The question is how much Sully can impact Babip.
And does he really start going as well? Here comes a big fight in the top
Grand
lane.
Challenge. Dominus is popped Sora. Is he going to delay it? Not even going to worry about popping the rest of the Grand Challenge. Babip is here, but will just position himself down and out. Still a 1k gold lead and 2 ultimates down in the top lane means that Babip will probably not bother.
Yeah, now Sora really does lose a lot of kill potential when doesn't have that Grand Challenge available. It does allow massive amounts of outplay. Sora at this point in time still has that extra, I guess you could say, Blade Dance available to him when that Grand Challenge is up. Recent nerf to Fiora that hasn't hit this point in the patch yet, which is why she's still, I guess you could say, a decent pick to have in competitive.
I think Sora didn't actually have to go back into that lane. Probably could have gotten the CS under turret, but loses that advantage that he had built up. Lynx now will pick up this Ocean Drake, and Legacy Genesis might just trade it off for first turret blood.
And it is just the appropriate response as well. When you do realize that the jungler's up in the top lane, you just go for the next objective that you can trade across the board. They don't have enough control to really push it towards the turret, so they go for what's the next freest objective.
If you're Lynx, is Ocean Drake really worth first turret blood? I believe the answer is no at this point. You may have a Fiora, you may have an Echo, people who can go for extended trades, so it's not the worst dragon to have.
No, and again, it is fairly early as well, so if you do decide to go for an extended laning phase, you do get a decent amount of value as well out of it.
Yep.
And really, with it being a 1-3-1 as well, that means that if someone does make the mistake and they do have to use a decent amount of their abilities to get out of there, whether they're trading a lot of health just to escape at the end of the day, they will recover very quickly and they continue to keep up that map pressure, which their team is something that their team really excels at. So having that Ocean Drake may be pretty good to have coming towards that late game as well.
And Sora now going to start roaming down, looking for that extra vision control, which we've talked about so much in the first 2 series of today. The best of ones. Tricked you. Legacy Genesis, a team that has been a rise and fall, but it has been revolving around Babip. Now that he's back, as we see the Petrifying Gaze flash as well, Cocoon forces the flash out of Sully. Just as I was saying that, Babip providing so much pressure around the map, and we can see the return of this jungler could mean a lot as Sora is in a bit of trouble. Cocoon not back up, but you know that the riposte was available. With that first turret blood, alleviates a lot of pressure on Legacy Genesis, and now the map is a bit of their oyster.
And really, you can see what that ends up going for. As the arrow lands, and there's going to be an Echo coming too.
Yeah, okay, Unbreakable there. The door, the flash, the ultimate. Dragon will save him for now, but Drakon uses that opportunity to do a bit of damage under turret. PVA takes the trade. With a lot of summoners burnt, Legacy Genesis bot lane will have to back off.
And now this is really important as well, because now they're going to get all the jungle as well. They continue to put a lot of chip damage onto this turret, and there really needs to be a big response from Legacy Genesis, so they want to make sure they can protect their bot lane.
Parallel convergence coming through. Legacy Genesis bot lane stuck around. I'm not sure why. The wild growth onto Nidalee. That Sully gets a double kill for the Ashe. PVA will be happy with that, but Lynx use this opportunity. The teleport will come through, and they will get the turret as well. 2 kills.
And what's great about that teleporter as well is that Sora's not going to lose anything for it. Make sure he protects the rest of his team there. You could say it's a little bit of a shaky, unnecessary ultimate, but it's just a bit of insurance. Better safe than sorry. Let's get this turret. You're not going to lose too much for it at the end of the day, because guess what? Dragon was just taken as well. Artiferns doesn't have his teleport up for a while, and it means you do have a bit of time before you really would need that teleport available again. And you Also, Sora, more than happy to stick in the lane as well if Artifernes is going to force a teleport, because that split pushing pressure is just so much that you probably get a turret at the back of it as well.
Yeah, but that rotational play from Lynx Esports will mean that they alleviate the gold, and you see an equalize now. That Seesaw has come right back. Legacy Genesis positioning around the Rift Herald, which has already been taken today and has just become up in the list of priorities for early game pressure. Artifernes will secure the Scuttle Crab, but what comes next is anyone's guess.
And now Lynx are moving towards their win conditions. They've decided to throw their bot lane in the mid lane. And the other thing that they decided to do as well, put their side laners up and ready to go. You do have Echo up in the top lane, Fiora down on that bot lane, and now the 1-3-1 is truly in force. Here comes the teleport.
Lynx positioning themselves well. Sora still going to keep approaching this. Enchanted Crystal Arrow will go into the Brom with the door. Drakon trying to outplay this, but 5 members have rotated down. Lynx will pick up 1. They'll pick up 2. And with the help of Team Synergy and Happy Tree Friends, Lynx will find 2 more.
Now they're going to try and force for the objective here. They should be able to get this and get out, but they are going to be basically holding it a little bit too thin there. And they do manage just to save that tower by a little bit. Will that last one be enough? No.
No, but I think eventually someone will just come by and tap it in.
Just tap it in, basically.
It's wearing nothing at all. Sorry.
All right,
I apologize.
Well, it is basically a point where a nice stiff breeze will knock it over. And I want to go back to that teleport play that was in place there, because Lynx immediately realized, okay, towers have gone down around the map. Now is a good time to set up that 1-3-1. And as soon as they saw an opportunity to make a play work, they just pounced on it. They basically had 5 members down there beforehand. They shifted their teleports around. They said, you know what? All right, we've used Sora's now. Let's put Sora in the lane closer to where we wanted to make a fight happen. And we'll put Eminal on the one that doesn't really have to worry about that pressure coming on through. Because, 1, there's no tower in the top lane. Nothing that needs to be protected. So if he does teleport out of it, that's fine. But there is a tower in the bot lane we need to worry about. And because Legacy Genesis was sitting there saying, you know what, we want to make sure we can get this turret, so we continue to keep that pressure on, and Lynx can't set up a 1-3-1, they immediately go for it and stop that from happening and really take a good lead in this game.
And Rift Herald is just going to extenuate that lead as well. With PVA and Scream now moving to mid lane with Tilting and Drakon, and those 1-3-1s are definitely in effect. Putting Cassiopeia in the side lane with the Echo is going to really punish him. Hayri spots out Sully, but he gets the Rift Herald and gets the heck out of there. The rest of Link starting to collapse. Enchanted Crystal Arrow will be dodged. Polymorph, however, as Hayri gets exhausted. There's the Glacial Fissure as the Wild Growth to support Sully. Chrono breaks back in. Legacy Genesis losing members and fast. But here comes Callista. It's Drakon with the shutdown. It's Drakon with the follow-up. It's Drakon and Tilting helping out Scream. That's what's going to be happening. Ow! See you later. A double kill. Drakon popping off in this fight with again a 1v1. Sora, will he survive? The flash away. Minions, 2 more hits. 1, 2, and poop, he's still alive. Artifernes chasing him down. Interior crocodile alligator. How fast will Fiora get away from Theater? I'm so sorry. I'm not a rap god. A turret will go down and I'm going to stop talking.
Oh, all right there. So
Hendrix,
Legacy Genesis.
pick up.
I know I want to pick up there, but really you basically sort of killed the mood after the rap. Just didn't hit the mark. But what I want to go into there is what happens when Legacy Genesis do force the moment there and Lynx overcommit too much to certain objectives. Because yes, you do have a 1-3-1 and you do have a good job collapsing, but they didn't really execute too well in that team fight. Ended up losing 2 members for it. And really, you already got the objective out of that. You got the Rift Herald. Just get on out of there, reset. I mean, you're a 1-3-1 team. You don't want to go for team fights. You don't want to go for skirmishes when you know, unless you know you have that team fight. And with Sora without teleport, just having it right there, and that's basically came up now, not what you wanted to go for. But here's the pressure I want to see from a 1-3-1.
This is really ambitious. Sully just does it right in front of Legacy Genesis, but Rift Herald still gets the charge off and will not even get this first turret. It's smoten away. Legacy Genesis defend for now, but both of those mid lane turrets are ambitiously low. There's a 1k gold lead held by Legacy Genesis. Now the fight coming through. Babip has to repel into the air. You can see the Lynx will follow up this fight. Enchanted Crystal Arrow hits the wrong target. Parallel Convergence will not find it stunned, but Legacy Genesis still in a comfortable position to re-engage.
They are in a comfortable position to re-engage because they're healthy in terms of their damage there, but they're not in control of the jungle there. So it is nice for them to say, yes, re-engage now because we are strong in terms of how much health we have. We got our abilities available. They need to make sure they clear out those walls. They do that right there and then. This is going to be a nice dragon from the takeoff because they were a little bit patient before they went in for that, back in towards that river area.
The Oceanic League of Legends Drake has been secured by Legacy Genesis. That's one apiece. You know, the Baron is going to be spawning at the 20-minute mark. If you didn't know that, you don't play enough. Scream has been caught out. Cocoon will miss after the flash from Babip. Look at this. This is going to be a big rain. See you later, mate. Drakon 3 and 2.
And that's what happens when you go warding alone in a competitive game.
And there's a Callista.
And there's a Callista.
With
okay, but going back to it, big thing is you need to be up to that point in the game, 20 minutes in, you need to start holding hands. But speaking of holding hands, they're coming in for a gank here.
I definitely don't think it's that cute right now. Sora has used the Grand Challenge to heal. Will help underneath this turret. Across the map, Hayri goes down. While all the attention was up top, Lynx will not get anything but the turret in response. Amador might have bit off a little bit more than he could chew as a Cocoon, and a bit of an auto attack tilting. Yeah, he's going to pick that one up.
That's okay as long as he's trading the 1-for-1. As long as he manages to get the assassination off the back of it, that means that there's pressure created there. He's still 1-for-1, and they are getting towers as well. Now, mind you, that the fact that there is no one there to help protect that tower means it will fall as well, so it is going to be a decent response from Legacy Genesis in the end.
Yeah, 1-for-1 in kills and 1-for-1 in turrets. As a botched tower dive, but Lynx rotate back around to mid, and that's going to be equalized again, and it's just back and forth by Legacy and Lynx.
I wouldn't call that a batch tower dive off the back of that here. This is what we were talking about before. We managed to go for the 1v1, goes a bit crazy. He is chasing for it as well. I'm not sure why Harry wants to go in because he's got everyone else coming in. So that's the botch tower dive there. That one is definitely not going to be enough.
Okay. I feel like this is what we've seen from Harry time and time again. Just going too far, too ambitious, too fast. Getting caught out of position, and following up that kill was a big mistake by Harry.
So the thing is, I want to point out it was a botch tower dive in that bot lane, but not in the top lane. The thing is, they do have a lot of pressure there, but as one at tanky Renekton, they do force out the ultimate, and then they get the pressure and get him out of the lane. That is what makes it effective.
If we look at how Legacy Genesis have been playing this early game, it has been messy, but you can say that from Lynx as well. It's been, okay, a play's being made across this side of the map, we're going to respond on the other side of the map, which is quite usual, but the sacrifices that they're making don't seem like it's always worth it. Especially when you got a Cassiopeia who's 1, 2, and 2. You got Callista, who is still picking up kills, but 2 items now, 3, 2, and 0. If Legacy Genesis can keep up this pressure and potentially find the better team fight, Lynx may not be able to get off the ground.
The problem is when you do go up against a 1-3-1, if you do not hold on to your turrets, it becomes so much harder to deal with the later the game goes on, because now they've got those long lanes. Fiora will be able to handle pretty much anyone that goes up against her. Echo's one of those champions that has the capability to do that well if he does outplay them. And having those long lanes, having no pressure around the map means it's so much easier for them to basically say, you know what, we're going to keep pushing down the side here. Everyone else just keep the kite up back. It's okay if we lose 1 tower as long as we're getting 2 in return.
The trade-off is not worth it. You got to start thinking realistically. Calculate your plays.
All right, this is a good play here. I love how Legacy Genesis say, you know, we're going to remain as a 5-man unit. The fact that we've got great objective control means we can go for this.
Goes in. It is actually stolen away by Lynx, and not by any member. It's Amatul jumping in on Summoner's Rift. Lynx, take the Baron.
I was going to say that was a fantastic play, but for them to lose out on the Baron in the end makes it so much worse for Legacy Genesis, because now Fiora is going to have free reign down on that bottom lane. All of a sudden, the pressure is just shooting through, because 1-3-1 loves to get those Barons early.
Amatul, you absolute god. Sully doesn't get it. Babip doesn't get it, but instead the Echo with Proto Belt, and only now has 2 items. Not sure how he stole that. I want to get a replay. That's me calling for production right there. Lynx Esports with the Baron. Unexpected, but a team that gets Baron at this stage of the game, it's a mid-game which Legacy Genesis needed to act upon. You've got Lynx who are going to stall it out with a Fiora, with an Echo, with an Ashe Engage. Not looking good.
And you want to look at it and go, well, why didn't Babbitt smite there? Well, you know what? The reason why is because Rend on Callista is going to be more than that smite there. And if you don't really have control over that Rend to be right on point, all of a sudden these things happen. Because, I mean, look at it there. The Rend came off, but you had the Time Winder coming through.
Let's do that, yeah. Action replay, okay? With the Baron here, I mean, this was a great call by Legacy Genesis.
I agree. This was an excellent call. It's the right idea. You notice 1-3-1's going to have the pressure. So here comes everything. Here comes the damage. It's going to be a Rend while the Time Winder comes through with the phase dive as well. So basically, that timing just wasn't there. Sully did jump in there to try and get it happen. He goes, you know what, that's fine. Amador, you can grab it and jump away as well. He decides to just use his ultimate to get on out of there.
And Artifern's teleported when Baron was already dead. I just want to point that out as well. But it was a great play by Lynx, and something they should be commended on is the fact that how they all rotated around to that Baron. You have a double TP comp, and teleport wasn't even used by any of the members. So, big props to Lynx and pulling up that Baron. I mean, do they really have to get anything with it? You would like them to, but if they just keep up the pressure and they continue the scaling, Lynx have the tools for a 40-minute game.
Yeah, Lynx are the ones that have all of the ability to continue to keep this pressure up because they're in the driving seat with this Baron, with all their items available to them. It becomes so hard for them to deal with because, yes, 1-3-1 is hard to execute, but it gets so much easier as everything goes down.
Artifern's grand challenge flashes away, and Sora flashes with him, follows like best buddy should. Lynx pick up another kill. This Baron is going to mean that they could just get bottom lane turret.
Yeah, especially with a big, beefy laner gone as well. Makes it a lot easier for them to make those moves around. And Sora, what was I talking about? Fiora, once she gets to 2 items, is just so oppressive. So hard to deal with. And now, an Infernal Drake to really just sort of solidify that lead that little bit further. Lynx feeling great at the moment.
Feeling great with an Infernal Drake behind them as well as that Ocean. And Lynx will continue to skyrocket and scale, and a 2k gold lead under their name means you could be really, really happy as a Lynx fan. All they have to do is keep up this same pursuit of happiness, this same game plan, and really, if anything goes wrong, I'll be very surprised.
And they haven't even used their teleports that much around the map. They've used it early to really sort of highlight what they're capable of doing when they find the plays, but everything else that they've been doing now, just any kill they've been picking up is just off the back of them being there first. I mean, they had a little bit of a misplay beforehand when they were going towards Rift Herald, but now everything just seems to be so smooth, seems to be right on point. They've got all the control that they want.
Artifern's not splitting in the same lane, I was going to say, as Sora, but Sora's now here. He doesn't challenge him. No, he just goes back in and he takes full control of the lane. The Renekton can no longer deal with his Fiora.
It is going to be rough though, but what he's able to do now, he just needs to make sure he pushes that lane out, keep Fiora down in that lane, and they need to look for a big engage in that mid lane. Wherever the 3 members are of Lynx, in that 1-3-1 composition, Legacy Genesis need to land an engage right off the back of that. If they don't, they're in a lot of trouble.
But you've got Petrifying Gaze, you've got Cocoon, you have Fate's Call. 2 of those engages are reliable. I mean, Petrifying Gaze, pretty much everyone knows to turn around. Don't look at the Snake Lady. And this is what Lynx are going to do about it. They're going to go mid, they're going to try and get another turret, and pretty much uncontested, it will get very low. And next minion wave could just be it, as we do find a pick down in the bottom lane. Sora has just gone down. Down, and prices are staying down as Legacy Genesis to follow through. Will not find another, but one is good enough.
And that's what happens when Fiora does not get that riposte off, especially because he hasn't finished that Death's Dance yet. Doesn't have the ability to really tank up a decent amount of it. Is full damage items at this point. So she doesn't really have much room for error, and that's what happens when she can't really make sure she gets her combos off.
Well, that's one good pick. That alleviates pressure. Favorite word of mine. Been listening long enough. We'll secure some vision for this Baron that's coming up in 2 minutes, and that Scuttlecrab is going to do exactly that. With Legacy Genesis coming off, whatever you call that early game, maybe suddenly everything comes back to normal. Purely because it's 3 turrets all, it's only an extra dragon for Lynx. Still am worried about the late game for Legacy Genesis, however, as we get closer and closer to reality, and that reality is Echo and Fiora. And an Ash engage going down.
And now all we would need to turn to is the fact that, okay, yes, they managed to get the pick. Yes, managed to sort of alleviate that pressure, but they've done nothing with it. They need to actually go in there and force another fight directly afterwards while they have that man up. So that way, Lynx can't reset up another 1-3-1. That's the big thing that needs to come. Like you say, things need to calm down for Lynx, yes. But Legacy Genesis missed their window there. Fiora is back up. And all of a sudden, 1-3-1 is back in play.
1-3-1 they cannot deal with. This is a 1-3-1 that has just been so comfortable for Lynx. And it's also a 1-3-1 that, if I was playing, I would not want to deal with. A Renekton going up against Fiora at 20+ minutes, who has 2, almost 3 items. That's another Vampire Scepter. You are not killing this Fiora. You are not doing anything with this Fiora. You literally have to send so many resources bot. Artiferns does have wave clear, but hit a vital. Okay, Artiferns gets to quarter health. Grand challenge, and he probably dies.
And one of the problems as well is if you do send Babip down there to sort of make sure that you can deal with that Fiora, all of a sudden Baron goes down straight away, and Lynx are more than happy to sacrifice one of their laners to get that Baron, because it means it sets up so much more for the next 5 minutes. And if that Baron does go towards Lynx, that's pretty much lights out for Legacy Genesis.
The first one already getting stolen away. Cocoon will miss. That's an important engage tool. Baron now live, but the question is, how do Lynx go for this next one? Can't be a steal. It's going to have to be a fight, as Mendrick said. But Sora, if you leave him in the... I mean, this is like a double-edged sword. You can leave him in the bot lane. He will get that turret. If you engage on him, if you send resources bot, he's going to get the turret anyway. So, what do you do?
They need to do what they did before, but execute it. Because the thing is that now that they've lost that first initial Baron, it's going to be plaguing on their minds. That's the worst part about this. It was the correct play when they went for this initial Baron. Now they're going for it. This is good. You do have a stronger Kalista as well.
But
there's no way. There's no way it's a 50-50 for them if you manage to get enough Brent stacks out of it.
Okay, well, Spears are hitting left, right, and center, and Legacy Genesis are disengaging
they're scared
off this Baron because Amatul comes in and destroys Babip off the side. Spear will connect, and Hayri's in trouble. One more hit. Phase dive, Petrifying Gaze, too late, buddy, as a double kill for our new Lynx mid laner. And Lynx Esports, week number 4, are looking pretty good. This Baron's going to be theirs. And
hesitation is the killer there. They started the Baron. They were scared for the steal because it happened before. They back away, and Lynx have a fantastic collapse. And because they were able to get the picks, capitalize on the fact that they're being decisive right there and then, they're now well and truly in the driver's seat. I think this is pretty much lights out, like I said before, for Legacy Genesis.
Yeah, only a 4K gold lead, but you look at the different compositions.
Oh, it's gonna land.
And this is so well executed. Again, stunned up, tilting. Has to be Fate's called away. Which direction, though? Goes back in. Okay, he will survive. Lynx don't get what they wanted, but that mid turret is surely going to be next.
Yeah, now they've just got all the pressure they need to. As you can see, they're pulling all their members there together now. Really continue to have that 1-3-1 in place because they're going to get the mid turret, they're going to get the bot turret, and they're going to get the dragon as well off this. And that is just everything falling in place now. All the pieces of the puzzle, all the planets aligning for Lynx. Look at that gold lead there. Well and truly 6K up.
Amatul has been someone we haven't talked about, and last week we should have talked about him. We just expected, you know, Orianna, great play. But Amatul has been consistent throughout these couple of weeks that we've seen Lynx Esports perform. And he's been a mid laner that I haven't had the pleasure to commentate on. 4-2 and 3 now in this Echo, and he's making these plays. He is executing flawlessly, and a positioning error from Legacy Genesis. He snatches it up straight away. He jumps on it. And both of these fights have been a case of, yes, he stole Baron this game. He also forced that fight before. He just got a double kill.
And it shows his versatility.
Oh, man, this guy, he's great.
Because before he was playing a utility mid laner. And now all of a sudden he's playing an assassin who's, you know, about that massive execution on the back of that. The damage from Fiora is just absolutely dumb at the moment. He's going to chase him down.
Well, Vital's on the wrong side, but you can see how much damage Sora does without it. Will push him out of lane, means he has to back off. Means more minions, more turrets, and Lynx keeping this pressure up. It's going to work wonders for them. 6K gold lead at 32 minutes in the game. Sully is rotating well. Will use the Banshee's Veil. Still jumps. As Parallel Convergence. Great arrow to hit as well. The spear connects. Hayri in a bit of trouble. There we go. Amatul's back in action. Chrono breaks the heck out of there for another kill.
And everything just really landing for Lynx. They're managing to get the spear, stop the Banshee's Veil. Now, next to arrow, and then they even managed to avoid the gaze as well, just to make sure they continue to put the pressure up there. I think...
Finally, Sora's actually going to go for the engage. Artifact splashes away. GA will be popped, but Grand Challenge comes first, and Sora is back at full health. One more Vital is all that's necessary. Auto attack, repel, riposte, that's what you want to call it. 1 for 1, but you still get Artiferns down, and Lynx in the meantime get top turret.
Now the base is broken. Lynx have everything they need. And look at that damage coming through from PVA.
And there we go. The spear connects again. The javelin toss. The turret goes down. Great wild growth. Babip runs away. Drakon trying to outplay the Kalista. Should put the flash forward from PVA. Ash Mechanics inhibitor follows suit.
And that's pretty much the end of the game coming across as they do decide to go for that turret there as well. Tilting's doing everything he can.
Hayri actually has ultimate as well. Petrifying Gaze here. But Lynx are sticking around to find out. Great polymorph. The exhaust on the Hayri too. Waiting for that Petrifying Gaze. has just missed for some reason the Q. Tilting being jumped on as well. PVA is picking up kills left, right, and center with Amatul blockading Babbitt. Oh my god. See you later, Incy Wincy Spider. Harry still has ultimate, has not used it. And the Nexus is going to go down. Interesting from Legacy Genesis, but Lynx, very convincing.
Lynx played that the way they needed to. What I really love about it is because they said, okay, we're going to the 1-3-1 composition. Immediately, they start using it early. As soon as those 2 towers go down, straight away move everyone into that position.
Yep.
They did 2 plays pretty much within 5 minutes of each other. That was just fantastic for them, and then they held on, got to the point that they needed to get to.
I'm doing this because I don't know what happened with Legacy Genesis. Yes, Lynx played convincingly, but Legacy are not informed for this split. It is quite rare that we don't want to talk down teams, you know, we don't really want to talk bad about teams, but I think it's important to note here that Legacy are not in fine form at the start of this split. And let's start at the champ select, because what looked like it could be a very Legacy-esque style champ select, especially with the Cassiopeia and a comp that doesn't go past that mid-game, didn't really take off.
Cassiopeia, right? Okay. Because Hayri got it in the first rotation before any mid laner was picked off from Lynx. All of a sudden, that sends alarm bells ringing for Lynx, and they just say, let's go and exploit that. If you take a look at holistically how the Cassiopeia interacts with everybody else on the enemy team, her one job wasn't actually the Petrifying Gaze. Her job was the Miasma, to make sure that Fiora couldn't dash into the middle of her team, and also to make sure that Echo couldn't dash into the middle of her team.
Can't pounce.
Yeah, what was Hayri doing? Instead, wasn't hanging with the team, was just always off on a side lane, getting picked out by the enemy team. He couldn't fulfill his priority, which was just stopping people from jumping into his team. Now let's take a look at how Lynx actually managed to take this one out, because at 13 minutes into the game, what happens is that they rotate Echo down into the bottom lane. They make sure that Ashe gets that first turret down. It wasn't first turret in the game, but gets her turret down, mixed with the fact that there was a Blade of the Ruin King power spike. As soon as she goes back, all of a sudden she's ready to send all those arrows off, and that's really the mid game that we saw them snowball off.
Are Lynx in good form or what, though?
Oh, I would say they did exactly what I do. I said to this, I want to see either a strong 4-1 or a strong 1-3-1. Both these teams did it, and Lynx gave me a strong 1-3-1. And that's probably the best that I've seen in this competition so far.
And I think we put our middle up in the mid lane tier list as well. Not only did he steal Baron, but he forced some of those engages and was positioned perfectly. Lynx have just come online in this split. Of course, week number 1, they still didn't have their roster. Week number 2, they finally come into the competition. They pick up a loss, I believe, but 2 wins 2 weeks in a row now. They beat Athletico Esports. They have now beat Legacy Genesis. Lynx Esports are suddenly in our top 4. I'm going to call it right now. They've put themselves in our top 4, and sitting on 2-2, I believe. This is going to look really well, and if they keep up this pressure, teams like Sin Academy have to be scared. Abyss is going to be the big challenge. Abyss Academy, sorry. As well as Outlaws.
And it really is time for them to say, all right, how do we measure up against these teams as well? Because now all of a sudden, we were looking at Athletico Esports, really strong at the moment. Lynx take them out. All right, Legacy Genesis finally back online, finally have their full roster. Great for them to see that Lynx managed to take it out again. So now that you said that they're up and coming, the real test is still to come. Outlaws and Abyss.
Well, we've got to ask ourselves a question. Preacher is going to be jumping on the cast with me as well. Mendrix will be swapping around. We are going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to be jumping on with Corvidae versus Athletico Esports. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not go anywhere. We'll see you in 5.